Hey everybody, welcome to Bryan Music. Today I'm going to go through Nights of Cydonia. This is a cover we did. I played guitar, recorded vocals, mixed, produced and engineered this track. I had lots of guest friends accompanying me playing on this track with me, and it was so much fun to make. So without further ado, let's jump into the mix. Okay guys, so we're going to kick off with the track list. Here's my number of tracks. I think there's not too many tracks, but these are all our drums. I have the drum bus set up at the end. I don't do much bus compression on the drum bus even. And then the only little difference I have to maybe some other people is I have auxiliary input set up for snare, kick and toms. And I have EQ across these punch sections, as I call them, that add a little bit more punch to the track as you need it. So you can send the kick drum, send the snare to these channels, and you get a lovely little bit more punch out of it. Then I have two channels of bass, one synth, two synths, a bit of brass, a lot of guitars, and then here's all the vocals, and then the yellows are the acapella vocals. The effects I'm using on this track are all the Valhalla effects. So I use the Valhalla delay, the Valhalla reverbs. These are some of the settings I have. That's a left delay, so I have a left delay and a right delay as well. And then I usually have a slap, a medium and a long delay, and then a short, a medium and a long reverb. So if you just go through these, you can have a look at what I'm doing here. It's my short reverb, short room, medium plate, and a concert hall long. So that's the basic track listing for this cover I did. Recorded all the guitars using predominantly a Fender Telecaster Ultra and a Tom Anderson Raven. The bass was recorded with a Squier bass, actually, believe it or not. And then Shane played an Epiphone Dot with Seth Lover pickups in it, with a Boss fuzz pedal as his main tone. So let's jump into the track. Let's kick off with the drums. The intro to the song, we have a few open guitar stabs. Sound kind of like this. So that's the very intro. But we'll come back to the guitars in 1 second, and we'll start actually with the drums. So here's the kick, snare. So I just want to show you what it sounds like without the auxiliary sends, the punch tracks as I call them. So as you can see here, I have my auxiliary set up, and then I'm sending to it the whatever amount I feel it needs for the punch. So I'll just show you what that sounds like with the punch and then without the punch. Without the punch. With the punch for the snare. A little bit of EQ here. With the punch for the kick drum. So you can really hear how much that adds to the attack and snap of the drums. It's a nice little trick I learned from mixing the Masters, and it really brings the kick and snare to life. And same with the toms, you can really drive the punch on the drums. I use trigger a lot for our drum sounds. I blend in sometimes 70%, sometimes fully use the trigger sample sound. And I'll just give you a listen to what the snare samples I'm using sound like. So I'm using these two here, snare 9A and snare 9A, another one. And I mix them together. That's without them. That's just the really gated snare drum that I use to get all those ghost notes that James is playing. Then with the samples underneath that. Another sample. So here are the rooms. These are the overheads. And like little processing, just a little bit of low filtering. Not much going on, a little bit of high end. And here's the one room mic we had. And that's the drum sound. It's pretty straightforward. A little bit of EQ on the toms. A little bit of EQ on the toms. sorry, the snare, then the snare punch, the kick. So then all together it sounds like this. So the next I'll discuss is the bass. So the bass, I usually split the bass up into two. I usually have a DI and an amp, and I use the amp for the kind of higher jangly sound, and I use the bass DI for the lower sound. I split the bass up so that I have a low recorded bass and a high recorded bass. So this is what the high sounds like. A little bit of Manny distortion. The EQ, turn the EQ off. So then I'm taking out all that low end, thinning it all out. And here's the low end, taking out the high end. EQ off. And on. And together. Then on the bass bus, I'm using a multi-band compressor, another this is a Teletronics. I love the silver ones. And another just stock compressor just to take off those real high peaks. So the bass is nice and punchy, but not jumping all over the place. In the mix. So if we go to the lead part that Shane is playing. So this is predominantly a casino dot going into a Boss fuzz pedal and then straight into the front end of a Soar PT100, I think it was. I use the Apollo Twin amps to do all my guitar sounds. I go into the front of the virtual amps like you would with a regular amp, and I track them that way, multi-track at the same time. So there's two different amps here, recorded simultaneously. And yeah, there's not much going on. I generally try and get the sound right at the source, but I'll just give you a listen to I'll just turn off the reverbs and I'll just give you a listen to what it's like dry. It's pretty close, really. EQ in. And then reverb in. Actually, before I bring in the reverb, a nice trick I like to do, I learned from Mix with the Masters, is if I'm panning a track to the left, I send it to the reverb on the right, and if I'm panning a track on the right, I send the reverb to the left, and that's exactly what I've done here. So listen as I bring in the reverb. The track is panned to the left, and you'll hear the reverb on the right. And the other reverse. Big image. Just before we get to the brass, this track is not gridded whatsoever. This is real time. We're playing off feel. The track was recorded remotely. We all did our separate parts during lockdown, and I did not grid this drum track. This is real drums. You can feel the swing, you can feel a push, you can feel a pull. So for the synth part, I actually took the synth part from, I can't play the synth. So I took the synth part from a cover on YouTube. I think it might actually be the original stems. And I had to chop it up and move the synth around to be in time with the drums, because the drums are swaying, because James Kelly is a fantastic, amazing drummer. And I wanted to keep the integrity of his playing, so I moved the synth around, and the whole track is groovy because of that. So here's the synth. Waves. So I'm lucky that I have very talented friends, and I asked my lovely friend Liam Ryan, who I've been friends with for many, many years, to play trumpet on this track. So Liam volunteered his services and threw down this trumpet, which sounds like this. The main lead part. I love this part. Very little going on. Tiny bit of EQ. reverb on, delay off, and on. You can see I've got some automation here too. I'm riding that trumpet fader, bringing up the peaks. This little lick just before the vocals come in is so cool. This is, I think I actually threw this down, this part. So you can hear the tremolo on that. A little bit of reverb, but I'm going to turn off the reverb. Most of the sound here was we got with the eventide delay, swell, shimmer effect. Okay, and now with the medium delay, I have it sitting underneath it. So we'll jump into the vocals after we kind of go through most of the guitars. So for the first verse, I have two guitars going on. Well, the only verse actually, left and right. So this is the left one. This is just a real chilled out strum, wet kind of open strum sound. So this is what I recorded on the right. Now the left. Now I don't pan the guitars in the verses fully hard right and hard left. I keep that space for the choruses so that the chorus is somewhere to go. I like to use panning as a way of dynamics to move between sections of the songs to make the chorus pop. Because if you have everything super wide all the time, it's harder to get parts, I think, to pop and the chorus to sound bigger. So these you can see are at 55 here. Dreamy, right? Reverb off. So you can hear we recorded the track quite wet, and then I sent the reverb to the other side of the speaker, to the right side, and you can hear what that sounds like with and without. Without. With. See how wide that sounds. So on the second guitar is the arpeggiated picking, real Muse. Same thing, reverb on the left. Very little. So I also added in the acoustic guitar. It's not super high in the mix, but it is in there like it's in the track. So for these stabs, before I get to the vocals, these are all combination of chords and single note pairs of guitars. They're all recorded using the Telecaster and the Tom Anderson. So I'll give you a listen to what they sound like. Single notes. Single notes with octave fuzz. Chords. All left, hard left and right. More chords. Another pair of chords. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 layers of guitars. Oh yeah. Let's listen to that big chord again. Wall of sound. Little octave going on the bottom of one of them. So that's most of the guitars until the end, which is the big bridge riff. So we'll take a step back and just go back to the vocals here. So at the top of the track, we have these lovely vocals, which will sound like this. these vocals are my brother Keith, and they're just stacked in harmonies. I'll just turn off the effect I have on this intro part, but you can hear them here. Next harmony. Effects off. Super high harmony. Another harmony, and then I have a double at the end of that. So here's all the vocals together, the intro. Effect 1 on. The CLA. Just adding a little bit of compression, a little bit of bite, a little bit of stereo spread, and then adding the effects after. And then if we go into the mix, the intro sounds like this. Okay, then moving on to verse 1. So this is verse 1, the vocals. This is my lead vocal here, my vocal line. On my vocal I have a little bit of EQ. I put this E channel strip SSL across nearly every single channel I use. And it sounds killer. So this is the EQ. Tiny bit more EQ. The Mani. Got the Mani set, it's brilliant. Bit of compression. De-essing. And then my favorite compressor, the Teltronics for the vocals. So let's have a listen to this. Come right with me through the veins of history. Try. I'll show you a God. So as you can see, I didn't tune my vocal at all, so you can hear it's pitchy. But excuse me, it's kind of rock and roll. So that's why we left it. So let's add in the reverbs. Come right with me through the veins of history. I'll show you a God. Small. Falls asleep on their job. Delay. And how can we win when fools can be kings? Don't wait. And then my brother who's harmonizing with me here, this is Keith's line. Come right with me through the veins of history. Lovely. Not too much going on here. And how can we win when fools can be kings? Don't waste your time or time will waste you. Okay, let's listen to them together. Come right with me through the veins of history. I'll show you a God falls asleep on their job. And how can we win when fools can be kings? Don't waste your time. Okay, let's get on to the vocal acapella part. The next section is just the same as the intro. So this is one of my favorite parts of the whole song. This is one of the reasons I really wanted to record this track, was this amazing Queen style mental harmony. That's this 1, 2, 3, 4-way harmony here. I know Queen did more than that, but on Bohemian Rhapsody, but you know what I mean. So let's jump into this. I'll just turn off the effects first, and we'll just listen to the vocals. So there's no tuning on the other vocals, but there's a tiny little bit of tuning here just to keep us honest on these vocals. So let's have a listen. Here's the first pair. Whoops. Keith's first pair. Second pair, i.e. second harmony. By the way, when we recorded this, it was so hard to not laugh when he was recording this ridiculously high vocal. But well done to you, my friend. This is fantastic. Listen to this vocal on its own. High. Next harmony is my one. There's 3 harmonies, and then my last harmony is lower. So there we have the vocal acapella, my friends. Totally raw. So then adding a bit of EQ. More EQ. Bit of compression. Delay on. Off. There you go. So there's the 4-way harmony we recorded for this section. And this was good fun. You can definitely hear the Queen inspiration there on this one. So this was good fun to make this. Really enjoyed that part. So now we come up to the big riff section, which is great. So there's a few little guitars going on here in the bridge. I'll just give you a listen to some of these. Again, only just a tiny bit of EQ on these tracks, not much. It's building. Next pair. It's the left. Totally dry. EQ off. EQ on. Next pair. And the right speaker. Octaves. So let me just give you a listen to that in the mix. So I kind of did the octaves guitars like he did, like Matt plays when he plays it live, and I wanted to kind of recreate that, so I added them in. Could have actually made that a bit brighter, maybe. As I arpeggiated, that was hard to play that part perfectly. You and I must fight to survive. Okay, so let's have a look at these guitars. This drop, riff drop, is the coolest part of the song. So that is the slash octave fuzz pedal I believe I used on straight into the front of a Soar PT100, and that's what that sounds like, panned left. And then I have another guitar with, I think it's a diesel head, or the diesel head, whatever you want to pronounce it, and it has a Telecaster on the right. So here's the left side and the right side. Ooh, big in the mix. Check out this drum fill here, right? Yes, James, my son. Brilliant drum fill there from James Kelly. Just, I know it's the original one, but it's just this power in it. It's amazing. So then this part, the only difference then for the outro is I have a, actually we have a guitar solo first. So for the keyboard solo, I wanted to have the guitars kind of kick in there and really be the main push for that keyboard solo. In the track, it's actually a synth, so I'll just play you what the track is. I have this actually underneath the solo along with what Shane is playing. So this isn't the track. So I wanted to add in an aggressive guitar sound over that, so this is what we did. You can see the aggression on the bar, the whammy bar there when he plays that part. Let me just make it dry here for you first. You can really hear how aggressive it is. So with the reverb. Oh, dirty bend. for this outro riff, I added in just one extra guitar to give up the center, to give that last section of the chorus, that or the riff, a big lift. So listen to when this guitar comes in. Up the middle. Did you hear it? Without. In. So there you have it, guys. That's Nights in Cydonia. I really enjoyed making this track. I recorded all the guitars, nearly all the vocals here in my little apartment. If you're looking for some tracks to be mixed, and you want to get a fat sound like that, you like the sound of this track, check out the Bryan music as well. I also mix, produce and engineer all that as well. Most of it I have done. So please give me a shout if you're interested. If you want to hear another song, or you have any questions on this mix, on guitar tones, what guitars I use, what pedals, drop a comment down below and I'll get to them and answer as many of them as I can. Stay tuned for some more videos coming through, and send me a message. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you think I could have gone better. Whatever you want to give me some feedback, I always love to hear it. So thanks, guys. Over and out. Steve.